Hey y'all, I am Kara's husband. My friends call me Zach, and welcome back to Homesteadin In The City. So I'm just gonna kind of introduce myself a little bit more. I know I've been on a few videos. Like I said, I'm Kara's husband. You saw her on last week's vlog. You're gonna see her on some more stuff. I know she has some really cool stuff up her sleeves. I don't want to give away too much, but we are going to host a Halloween party, and she's got some cool invites for that she's going to be putting, I think, on the Instagram soon. So if you aren't following us on Instagram, go ahead and do that. My week, I guess if we back up a week before the weekend before last, April and Kara and I went to Home Depot. We grabbed a few things there, and something that caught my eye was this little grow kit. It was a little Lavender Grow Kit, and it was on sale. It was only $5. And so I figured, even if the lavender doesn't germinate, which I don't have great luck with lavender, but I figured even if it doesn't germinate, that's still kind of a cool little pot to get for $5. Got a little bit of soil and seeds, so if it does grow, that's cool, and if it doesn't, then I'll just use this for something else. So I did a little video on getting that kind of taken out of the packaging and getting it started. It's going to take a couple weeks. It's only been about 3 days. Of course, no germination yet, so we're going to be following up on that, but not typically the type of stuff that I grow, but I know we're all on different parts of the spectrum of this kind of urban homesteading, urban farming, or just gardening, whatever you want to call it. But it's kind of just this big fun experiment that our friends are all doing. We're learning as we go, and that's kind of why we're doing these videos. We want to bring you along on the journey so you can learn with us. But yeah, so some of the other things we have going on, I know we have a lot of things in the work. April's snack bag might be the one I'm the most excited about.
Hey folks, we're gonna play a game called April Snack Bag.
I did not know that was a game. She just came up with that one right now.
I just did right now, actually.
Really silly.
April Snack Bag.
If you know April or have been over to her place, you know she's always got great snacks. Often it's chips. She does get a lot of different types of chips. I know the last time I tried some new ones at her place, they were crab, and it tasted, I guess, like a crab bake up in Maryland or wherever they eat crabs. Yeah, so April's snack bag, I'm sure that'll be really cool. I can't wait to see that come out. And then I think next week, Caroline's seed saving video is going to come out. So I guess last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I did a little video on propagation via layering. So of course, that's one way to kind of get more of the plants that you do like growing, and we'll do a follow-up on that. I actually have been meaning to do that. Some of the dewberries that I'm trying to air layer, or I guess not air layer, they're just being layered in pots. But some of the dewberries that I'm layering, they're already starting to grow roots. Unfortunately, a squirrel knocked over one of them. All the soil came out, but I did see some good roots were forming. So I guess that's at least a good sign on that. But yeah, so Caroline is making a video on seed saving, which is something that I haven't done a whole lot of, so I'm interested in seeing that. I do know that with a lot of plants with seed saving, you do have to worry about the cross-pollination, and so that's something I've never really done much. I do have this one plant that I've saved seeds from for a few years. There was a basil plant that when I lived in an apartment and could only grow just a few things in pots in the windowsills. I still wanted to have a garden. And so one of the easiest things to grow around here at least is basil. And so I just put a few basil seeds into a little pot, and actually I guess I grew a few in my windowsill, but the one that did the best, I saved the seeds from that. And then a couple years ago I planted a basil. It did really well, and so I saved the seeds from that, and then I planted those and saved more, and so I've had it going for about 3 or 4 years. But I didn't have any other basils in the garden, and but yeah, so that's really the only time I've done that. I'm really interested to see which ones Caroline is doing. I kind of hope it's tomatoes. That's what I want to get into next, with learning more about maybe breeding and cross-pollinating, making hybrids, saving seeds, all that. I don't know. I don't even know what I don't know about tomatoes, but I'm excited to learn it, and don't worry, we will share it all with y'all. A little bit more about me. I've both of my grandfathers definitely gardened when I was growing up, and even before I was born. But I didn't necessarily grow up having a garden. My parents occasionally grew stuff, but I know probably the most that I got out of gardening was from school. You know, just planting the pea or the bean in a cup. I'm sure we all did that in first grade. But I always really liked growing plants when I did have them. And I do remember going to the hardware store with my family, and I always loved the garden section, checking out the different plants. I always wanted to kind of have plants like for my bedroom, because I just thought that was pretty cool. And one of my favorites was always the Venus flytrap. I never got one, but I always thought they were these really cool, exotic tropical plants, and I didn't know until recently that they're actually native to South Carolina. And South Carolina, where we all live, in case you didn't know, is one of the only places in the world where the Venus flytrap grows. So we might have to do a video just on Venus flytraps in the future. Let us know in the comments if you want to learn more about Venus flytraps. Yeah, so I didn't really have my first full garden until I was out of college for a few years, and then it was kind of the first house I lived in and had a yard. And my roommates and I, well, at least one of my roommates and I, we planted a few things, and we did terrible. It wasn't good. My basil did well. That's how I learned, not that I was a great gardener because I did really well at growing basil. I learned that basil is a really easy plant to grow because it did well even though I was a terrible gardener. But yeah, so that was I think 2012. So I guess I've been going at this for about 10 years now, definitely not consistently. One of the tough things is I've never had a third summer in a garden. I've moved around a lot. I moved around growing up. My dad was in the military, so I don't necessarily have, roots anywhere like some of our friends do. I know April and Brittany grew up in the same towns their entire lives. I think Caroline did too. Actually, I think Caroline has some pretty deep roots in Colombia now that I think about it. But yeah, I moved around a good bit. Both my parents are from South Carolina, but I wasn't born here, and I didn't move here until kind of the middle of elementary school. But yeah, so once I started my first garden in 2012, I only lived in that house for like 2 years. And then the next place where I moved, had to start from scratch all over again. The yard had a garden in it before, but it had definitely been overgrown. The people who'd grown the garden were in nursing homes by that point. And so I was living with a friend who was their grandson. He had just moved in, and so the gardens had had a few years of neglect, after his grandparents, kind of got past the point where they could take care of it. And so we stepped in. We had some fun, kind of restoring the garden areas and growing some stuff. But again, it was almost like we were starting from scratch, like soil-wise and everything. And then I only had a couple years in that house, and I moved again. And so we're kind of wrapping up the second year in our current garden, and this might be the last summer in this garden too. And that kind of brings us around to our housing situation. You may have picked up a few weeks ago, April mentioned her next door neighbors were selling their house and that we had put an offer on it. We really wanted to be next door neighbors with April, but that deal fell through. The homeowner, after stringing us along for a few weeks, decided that he just didn't want to sell it at all and was going to pull the house off the market. So we were back to square one on that, and the same day that deal just completely fell through, that was after 3 offers that we had put on it, actually. But after that deal fell through, the next house over, so 2 doors down from April, came up on the market. So we were really excited about that. So we put an offer on that one the day after it came on the market. And then the following morning, our agent told us there's already been several offers, so we went ahead and preemptively upped our offer. And if you're watching this in 2021, it's a terrible market for buyers right now. We preemptively upped our own offer, and we still didn't get it. So yeah, right now we are just kind of in a waiting game right now. It's been a little tough doing the gardens in light of all this, because I don't necessarily, we don't know if we'll have even a spring to enjoy in it, much less the summer. So it's been a little tough finding motivation on getting it done, but we'll get there. So yeah, we're just going to do our best to be patient through all of this, and know that something good is going to come along. And while we're waiting, we're just going to keep plugging away and making more content with our friends for this vlog, for the website, for the Instagram. And we're just excited about what comes next. We're really looking forward to having something where we can put down more permanent roots and start really building out our gardens, get a little bit more into permaculture stuff, things that will, I'm excited about just having a third summer in the same garden, and getting past that point of, starting a garden from scratch is a whole lot of hard work, and I don't know that it's ever not hard work, but I do feel like it's going to be different once I'm not doing that step one every other year. And so that'll be nice to be able to do step one, then step two, and keep building on other successes rather than starting afresh. So I think next week you're finally going to hear from Brittany on one of these vlogs. She's going to be the last one of us to do this. And after that, you'll have kind of really met all of us. And we're just excited about putting out more content, learning more about kind of all these different principles, being more self-sufficient, more sustainable, building better communities, growing in our faith and our knowledge of gardening and all this. And so I think it's going to be a just really great journey. We're going to meet a lot of new friends along the way. We've already got something, I can't tease it too much, but we have been talking with someone in our community about doing some cool crossover content and maybe even a live event soon. But we'll get you more on that later. But till then, that's all we got for this week. Stay tuned, and we will see you in the next video.